Hello, and welcome to another episode of Pulp Days. It is I, your humble host, Captain Vern Lunar, as this day we take a look into a far-flung future of the year 1990. Yes, we'll be taking a look at the original Man of Tomorrow, Captain Future. Although sometimes mistakenly attributed to science fiction writer Edmund Hamilton, who indeed authored most of the Captain Future stories, the characters created by Better Publications editors Mort Weisinger and Leo Margulis during the first World Science Fiction Convention in 1939. The original character was published by Ned Thrilling Standard Better Publications Company. A different Captain Future was published in Pine's Netter Comics line. However, this version of the character has nothing to do with the original Captain Future. The stories were published in American Pulp magazines from 1940 to 1951, featuring bright-colored cover illustrations by Earl K. Berge and two fellow pulp artists. Captain Future's originated adventures appeared in his namesake magazine, which ran from 1940 to 1944, coinciding with World War II. Berge painted 12 of the 17 Captain Future covers, and all 10 subsequent startling stories covers under which additional Captain Future novels and novelettes were published. Of note, Berge's art for Captain Future, beginning with the third issue, marks the start of his groundbreaking work in the fields of science fiction and fantasy illustration. While the first 4 issues of the Captain Future pulps are subtitled Wizard of Science, the remaining 13 issues bear the header Man of Tomorrow, shifting focus to the humanity of the titular character, whose given name is revealed as Curtis Newton. A brilliant scientist and adventurer, Newton roams the solar system as Captain Future, solving problems, righting wrongs, and vanquishing futuristic supervillains. Published by Better Publications, an imprint of the expansive Thrilling group of pulps, Captain Future gave readers the only explicitly science fiction and pulp hero in the history of American pulps, as most other heroes made some play or thematic elements towards the mystical side of things, despite sometimes being overtly scientists. Captain Future was the first one to actually 100% showcase a scientific hero, even if some of that science is fairly outdated, such as every planet in the solar system being capable of supporting life and the existence of aliens on all of those planets. Initially, the stories were set in the year 1990. However, Hamilton quickly avoided exact dates except for past events which had already been established in prior stories, such as voyages of astronauts who landed on most of the other planets of the solar system. In later stories, if the date was asked or revealed, it was done so discreetly. The series begins when genius scientist Roger Newton, his wife, and his fellow scientist Simon Wright leave planet Earth to do research in an isolated laboratory on the moon, and to escape the machinations of Victor Corvo, a criminal politician who wished to use Newton's inventions for his own gain. This is not shocking. Simon's body is old and diseased, and Roger enables him to continue doing research by transplanting his healthy brain into an artificial case. Working together, the two scientists create an intelligent robot named Grag and an android with shape-shifting capabilities called Otho. One day, Corvo arrives on the moon and murders the Newtons, but before he can reap the fruits of his atrocity, Corvo is in turn slain by Grag and Otho. The deaths of the Newtons leave their son, Curtis, to be raised by the unlikely trio of Otho, Grag, and Simon Wright. Under their tutelage, Curtis grows up to be a brilliant scientist, and as strong and fast as any athlete. He also grows up with a strong sense of responsibility, and hopes to use his scientific skills to help people. With that goal in his mind, he calls himself Captain Future. Simon, Otho, and Grag are referred to as Future Men in subsequent stories. Other recurring characters in the series are the old Space Marshal Ezra Gurney, the beautiful Planet Patrol agent Joan Randall, who provides a love interest for Captain Future, and James Carthew, president of the solar system, whose office is in New York City and calls upon Captain Future when threats emerge. Captain Future faces numerous enemies in his career, but his archenemy is Quaron, who is the only recurring villain in the series and appears in 2 different stories. He's half Martian, and due to this is called the Magician of Mars, likely a play on Captain Future's older moniker of Wizard of Science. He is also the son of Victor Corvo, the murderer of Captain Future's parents. Quaron is a scientist whose abilities rival those of Captain Future. Other interesting facts about the good captain are that he commands a ship known as the Comet, which he designed himself and is superior to all other spaceships in the solar system. A research ship, the Comet has a compact onboard laboratory. It is also equipped with a camouflage device, giving it the appearance of an actual comet and armed with proton cannons. It later receives a faster-than-light propulsion later in the series, known as the vibration drive. Another interesting thing to note is in the story Calling Captain Future, it is notable for naming 3 of the then undiscovered moons of Pluto as Charon, Styx, and Cerberus. When 3 of Pluto's 5 moons were ultimately discovered, they were indeed given the names Charon, Styx, and Kerberos, the Greek spelling of Cerberus. Another interesting fact about Captain Future is his design. As you may have noticed already, the good captain features the ever-classic ray gun, spacesuit, and bubble helmet design, which he initially pioneered. Other interesting facts are the fact that Captain Future received his own anime series in 1978, which lasted for 53 episodes and were based on 13 of the original Pulp stories. Captain Future's suit design in this series was designed by Tadano Tsuji. The differences in cultural references and medium were very apparent, but the animated series was true to the original Pulps in many ways, from the focus on scientific explanations to the emphasis on the usefulness of brains as opposed to brawn, and in fact became a very much a well-beloved series worldwide, thus ensuring that Captain Future will be here long into the future year of 1990. So, have you learned anything from Captain Future? Do you wish to learn more about the thrilling adventures of the Wizard of Science? If so, feel free to look him up at your own leisure. This has been Captain Vern Lunar, and this has been another thrilling episode of Pulp Days.